Hey folks, finally back home and in my own office, and we have a ton to catch up on, so let's get that done. This whole video is going to be just covering the hardcore wipe info we got from BSG with some explanations, some guesses, and I'll answer some of the more common questions I've seen to the best of my ability. So let's not waste any more time and get this done because I also have a barbecue I want to get to. Happy 4th of July to everybody out there that's American. Okay, so we've gotten 3 infographics from BSG explaining some of the features coming with the now very infamous hardcore wipe. From these, we've been told that the Flea Market's going to be disabled. There will be increased requirements for the upgrades in the Hideout. The Hideout will no longer require Found and Raid for its items. They will be reducing the Hideout ammo crafts. Rare loot will be reduced as well. Using the map transit system will be required for most locations. The secure container restrictions are being turned up to prevent things like ammo and currency. Those straight can't go in there. And certain meds are going to be limited as well. We don't know which ones yet. Traders are going to be nerfed in what they carry. Items will be worth less selling to the traders, and buying from the traders will cost more. And then the other direction, bosses are going to be 100% spawn rate on all locations. You're going to receive less experience if you die in a raid, but more if you survive. And AI difficulty is going to be turned up. Now, this may not be a comprehensive list either. There may be other surprises and things in store for us. And that is usually the case with Nikita and BSG. We get a little bit of a picture before wipe, but on wipe day, there's always a surprise. Or several surprises. With the last card, we got some clarification on the X post. Apparently, all of these restrictions will be wave-like. Well, I mean, it's nice to hear, but I'm not sure exactly what that means. It doesn't really clarify anything in my mind. I mean, this could mean that they all get turned on independently as we level up and certain things turn on at certain dates or time gates. Or they could all be turned on at the same time and then get shut off as the wipe progresses. And they hinted at that last one a little bit. They straight up said that they're going to gradually open up locations on the selection screen as the wipe goes on. So my guess is this whole process will just be time gated or maybe something around some of in-game events. It's really impossible to tell at this point one way or the other. Now, my first video I did a deep dive into the first card and everything there. So if you want more info about that, go check out that video. I don't want to redo it. I'll dig into the second and third hardcore wipe cards with this video and offer some of my thoughts and speculations since we really don't have much else to go on at this point. Now, the big one people are up in arms about is the transit. And it's a pretty drastic change to the game loop of Tarkov, so some freak out is understandable. Then you add in the bugs and issues we've seen with even the limited use of transits before, and it makes sense that people would be skeptical at best, but downright upset at worst. But for me, I've always thought since they added the transits to the game that they were going to be some kind of important part of 1.0 Tarkov, or if not sooner, at least in the sense of the storyline missions. There was no way they were going to add do all this work and add this side mechanic that nobody ever really uses anything but for like exploiting to quickly extract or to get maybe an achievement or something like that. Transits just don't have any practical use really. So it always made sense to me that we were going to get these in a more in-depth or more required fashion eventually. So this wipe is going to be used to lean into that system, it looks like, and lean into it pretty hard, put it through its paces, and make sure it's ready for 1.0 Tarkov in whatever aspect it's going to be introduced in there. Now, like it or not, and despite it being memed to death, Tarkov is still in development. Whether you want to call it early access or beta or whatever, we are testing it as players. And this is what you do with game tests. You do stuff like this. You don't do it after you release it. You do it before. Get it polished, get it balanced, and then have it ready for the final product. Now, I don't think we're going to be transiting 3 or 4 times to get a single mission done or anything done like that. I honestly think most of the gameplay will be built around 1 transit for most of the maps, 2 for like labs. And I put this in a expose and put it together. So let's go over that real quick and look at what I talked about there. Okay, now here's my post. We'll go over here a little bit and I'll kind of explain what it is. And what I'm expecting with the transits is to basically have 3 core maps. It's going to be customs, woods, and ground zero. And you're going to be able to, from the start, be able to spawn into all 3 of those maps. And the more I've thought about it, maybe not right at the start, maybe your first raids, you have to go to ground zero and then maybe work your way to customs and woods, and then you have those opened up for from then on out. It could be something like that. But either way, I'm pretty sure customs, woods, and ground zero are going to be our core maps for a good chunk of the wipe. Now, the reason I say this specifically is that ground zero is our intro map, just in the lore. That's where our journey as a PMC in Tarkov starts, is at ground zero. But customs and woods have very specific bunkers, the ZB, 0, 10, ZB 11, 14, whatever. Those bunkers are on woods and customs only. And those could be, you could say those lead to our hideout, right? It's a stretch. There's not anything backing that up other than some words from Nikita and stuff, but nothing solid. But it kind of makes sense to me. And the other reason it makes sense to me is because if you have access to these 3 maps, if like those are the 3 you can select to load into, you're 1 transit away from every single map in the game, as the transits are set up now, which there's going to be more, I think, but just the way it's set up, these 3 maps are going to give you access to everywhere, with the exception of labs. Labs will take 2 transits. Either you got to go to factory to labs or streets to labs. And that doesn't sound out of the realm of normal to me, because Nikita has always said that you're never going to be able to go straight to labs. You're going to have to go to it to get through another, you're going to have to go through another map to get to it. So that's kind of how I see this whole thing playing out, because it's not too egregiously time consuming and requiring to go 1 map to transit to some of these other ones. Some of you are going to disagree with it. It's my opinion that that's not that way, obviously. So that adds that little bit of balance there, to where it's not, you don't have to load in at ground zero every time and then hop 6 maps to get to shoreline. I don't think BSG would ever do that. I don't think that makes any sense, but that's where we are. That's where I'm seeing this. Now, when you extract, I don't think you're going to have to necessarily go back to customs and woods to extract. You can, but I do believe that you're going to have options on these other maps, things like the car extract, and that could be a transit. The way that car extract works on certain maps, it could be either a transit or a directly to your stash kind of deal. It really depends on how they want to do it. But the scav extracts, the co-op extracts, as well as the green flare extracts, I think those are going to kind of be ones that lead probably back to your stash as well. They could be transits, but I just don't think they are. Now, with that, I think most of the rules around extracting are also going to change. Right now, when you spawn in on customs on one side, you got to go to the other side to extract, or take one of the kind of open extracts, right? And I think with the new system, that requirement's going to go away, because you're going to have, I think a lot of the extracts on the various maps are, instead of let's say RUAF being an extract to a normal extract, it's going to be a transit somewhere, whether that be factory or woods or whatever, I don't know, but that's what I'm seeing it going to be, is all these extracts are going to stay for the most part. They're just going to be transits now. And then like the ZB 13 and 14s, those will lead to your hideout. So with having the rules of you not being required to cross a map, it's going to make it a lot, you have a lot more choices and freedom of movement around maps, and you're not really forced into pigeonholing on certain maps like interchange and stuff like that. So all in, yes, transits are going to add a layer of difficulty to this. There's no question about that. I'm not arguing against that or not. But I think that the extra depth that this is going to give, and the fact that it's going to force players to make choices about their kits and what they bring in on top of the already other hardcore requirements, I think it's going to make for a better game experience, personally myself. At least it will for me. And I could be wrong. I could hate it too. But there's going to be people that are just aren't going to like this at all, no matter what they do. And then you get into the question of, should BSG stick with their vision of the game, or should they just do what the crowd yelling in the back says they want the game to be? And that, I know where my opinion is on that. I'm not going to get into it because I'll just piss off a bunch of people, and I don't feel like doing that today. But it's going to be an interesting couple of months here, especially leading to 1.0, as people really start speculating as what is Tarkov going to be. Now, concerns about load times and matchmaking are legitimate, though I think they're overblown in some instances. These issues really do vary from user to user and region to region. I personally rarely see over 5 minute waiting, 5 minutes of waiting to get into a raid. And it's usually closer to 3. And transits tend to be even faster than that, as I think, at least as of right now, when you go to transit, you get put in some kind of priority queue, but some folks will matchmake for like 15 minutes. And that's before they even start loading loot and stuff like that. And that's because they live in a low server population area. And I don't honestly know what BSG can do, or if they have any plans or ideas to work around this and fix it. So we're just gonna have to wait and see, you know, are load times gonna be really bad, or are they gonna be all right? I don't know. I'm not worried about it because right now it's not a problem, but that's for me. That's gonna differ from player to player. Now, there are a lot of questions too I'm seeing about as far as this is gonna be optional or not. And there is absolutely no indication anywhere at all that it's gonna be optional. I do think PvE will be spared from this, exempt from this, however you wanna put it. But I only think that's like, it's my opinion, is because PvE didn't have to deal with the flea being locked at the start of the wipe either. Plus, it doesn't make any sense to force or put people into a hardcore mode when they've already got full stashes and built out hideouts and unlocked traders and all that stuff. It just doesn't make sense. So I do think PvE players are just, there's not going to be a hardcore for the PvE profiles. Now, last minute here before we close it up, I saw something on Twitter. Nikita basically said that there are going to be big changes to ref and restrictions to scavs. So I think we're going to see more information on that. I would like to see that expanded more, and I think there should be. Personally, I think that player scavs are a huge crutch for players. And I know some of you guys love your scavs, and I'm not trying to attack you. I'm just talking about in a game loop sense. It's escaped from Tarkov with a PMC. Scavs were never supposed to be like a primary point of gameplay. And they've become so powerful in how much loot you can get out of a map and what you can do with them that I think, you know, the idea is like you scav in, you spawn randomly. You don't get to pick a map or a time, and you just spawn in where you spawn in. I want to try something like that out. It might be too harsh, but I think it would be fun to try. Plus, if you're restricted on your PMC, the scav gives you a little bit of roll of the dice to maybe get on a map you want to get on that you don't want to transit with your PMC. So it might fit with the hardcore thing, stuff like that. Either way, those are guesses. We'll see what Nikita has to say about giving us restrictions on specifically ref, because there's a lot of people, me including, that are worried about how he's going to play into this, because he's pretty OP. He's pretty broken. And I don't mean just because of his money or the XP. I mean the gear he has specifically in a hardcore mindset is going to be wild. But also how we're going to see player scavs fit into this whole hardcore experience as well. But that's all I got, guys. I'm gonna wrap her up there. I am kind of tired. I've been traveling. I flew all day. Only got about 4 hours of sleep, so I'm gonna go catch a quick nap. I'm gonna go have some barbecue, have a couple of drinks, and play with explosives like every good American should on the 4th of July. So hope you guys have a wonderful day. Hope you the best of luck in raids. Don't sweat the hardcore stuff too much till we try it out, you know, and if it sucks, there's other games coming out to play. Arc Raiders is right around the corner. So excited for that no matter what it is, whether I'm enjoying hardcore or not, I'm excited for that. But thank you guys, as always. Good luck in your raids, and we'll see you in Tarkov.